excited about providing you with the landscape painting demonstration videos in oil. I firmly believe that I can teach anyone to paint well if they are persistent. I may even have a gem or two for the professional landscape painter. The easier it is to start painting, the better. The less likely you are to lose your excitement to begin painting, such as taking a lot of time to push out and get all the paints ready and so on. You're almost exhausted by the time you start. So that's why I developed this oil paint holder. It comes right out of the freezer. You keep it, restores the paint, unhook it at both ends, and you can start painting within 10 minutes after the paint has softened. The painting, the oils that I'm using here is titanium white. Then I've got Ultramarine Blue, followed by a warm Cerulean Blue, Sap Green, primary yellow or Cadmium Yellow. I've got here right at the moment, I've got, for this painting, I'm using Yellow Ochre, but I tend sometimes use a Red Orange here, which is Cadmium Orange, and then burnt umber, a bright red of some type, usually Cad Red Lt, followed by the bluer, cooler Alizarin Crimson, and then Dioxazine purple. Sometimes I will substitute a black here, but typically that's what I have to work with. I want to introduce you to the palette as well again. These can be purchased online at my website, TomFisherArt.com. So let's begin painting. All right, today we're painting on a 12 by 16 masonite panel, and it's been gessoed with about a value 5 gesso, value 5 gesso, kind of grayed, a little bit red gray, and it also has some pumice in it, that marble dust that was mixed in with it, and it gives me a good surface, an absorbent surface to pull the paint on. I've also already introduced you to the palette, and now we're going to look at this scene. I just chose it just now. I have a number of them that I want to do, and this is one of them of a local city, and it's Stillwater, Minnesota. And this is looking from one of the hills across to one of the churches back here, and it's just a hilly terrain and so on. I just thought it might be a fun thing to do something like this, because we haven't done anything like this. I was going to do a house demonstration again, how to paint a house, but I think that this could be a fun project as well. So this is what we're going to be doing. So first of all, we're going to mix some colors. So let's look first of all at some of the greens back here. They're in the distance. We're going to take some Sap Green and we're going to take some Yellow Ochre. There's some yellow greens here. That's kind of nice. We'll add a little bit of red to it. This all, in a lot of ways, let's add a little bit more green. We don't want to mix them up too much, because I am an impressionist, so this is what I want to do is blue it a little bit, blue-greens, but probably they're pretty far in the distance and so on. You can see that they're quite dark in relationship to that now yet. Let's add some white to this. Now, just because that's the painting, that doesn't mean that my painting is going to look exactly like it. That's not my desire. My desire is to paint a painting that offers and provides my initial, that it will somehow communicate my initial feeling about this site. And what I like about it is the fact that it's on this hilly terrain, that it seems to be a busy street, that there's a certain stillness about it as well. Although it's busy, there's a quietness, a sereneness to it. Because it's an older city. It's not a hustle bustle city. This is what I want to do, and so here I have something that comes closer to this right here, and possibly this. If I should add, let's add a little bit more yellow in this area. I'm adding some more. Notice that I don't mush it up and ensure that it's one full color. Rather, there's many multiple colors in there. It's the impressionistic manner where you allow the people themselves to investigate, to see, and to enjoy what you have coming up. I'm adding some reds in here. I see some reds. There's some reds on the left. There's some red in building there. Not like this, however, right? So I'm going to gray it again with some more greens. The same sap green, and I'm going to pull some of these colors together. I'm going to be using this throughout the whole painting, and this will ensure that I've got this complementary mix going on and so on. Here as you can see here, we're going to use the reds, the yellows, the oranges, and greens. And then we've got the complement down here of blue, which is, the complement to yellow orange, and so we will have that. Let's pull that out. We see that in the steeple, for instance. Here's a steeple again. Let me give you a little bit better shot of this. Now, this is maybe much bluer just because of the camera and the computer image. It's much bluer than it really is in real life. So we want to watch out for that because photographs are deceiving. Typically, shadows are darkened, and contrast is too dark in the shadows and not... so you can't see into the shadows. Now, I've manipulated this image so that we can see into the shadows a little bit better, the way it really truly is in real life. Okay? All right. we're back here. Let's pull some of that. As you can see, there's some reds, there's some yellows, there's a lot of different colors in that sky. So I'm going to pull a bunch of this white out here. And I do see some of the same red. I'm going to take and pull into that. I see some yellows as well. I'm going to put a little bit of that into it. Okay. Notice I don't really mix them. I've got pools of different color here. Okay. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that color. Look at that color. That's what's great. Okay. Now, let's, I've got to find my painting again. Got so many going on here. All right. We've got the yellow ochre, the cad yellow tree up in the near left there. We're going to pull something together for that. And that's a mixture of yellow ochre, cad, and a little bit of this color mixed into it. So we kind of got a moving pools of color here. And I see some reds and purples up there. Let's take the Alizarin Crimson here, add a little bit of Dioxazine purple. And you see that in the left, medium left of the halfway back on the left side, as well as possibility of some in the right dark structure area. And so let's I'm going to pull some. Okay, so there's some Dioxazine purple. I've got some Alizarin Crimson, some burnt umber in this mixture, and just to see what the heck it gives me, I got to lighten it up a little bit so I can see. Well, let's see what that gives me here. Yeah, there's some nice purples in there. You can see some nice purples in there. Okay, I can see a lot of bluer shadows and so on. Now, they're not this blue. We have to pull that back. What do we have to pull that blue back? Let's use some red, some yellow to reduce the intensity of that blue. And a little bit more blue here, and then a little bit of white. And we have some of mixtures that might be great in the steeple, on the sidewalk, and that area. So, shall we begin then? We're all mixed up.
Alright, we're using smaller brushes right now to just lay the painting in to get to the right locations or approximate locations of the different items, the steeple, the all of the different areas. So it goes pretty fast, and once that's laid in, we can start with color, and we'll be doing that shortly. Alright, a number of the darker areas and so on, I'll fill in more with the color it chose just to begin the sketch. You'll also notice that I'm starting in a lot using some of the colors that I've pre-mixed, and just laying in some of those colors in patterns, and not really caring about any detail. We're adding sky color now. Notice that the sky color has some of the other colors mixed in it, and I do not totally mix them. And as the sky approaches the direction from where the sun is I add more yellow to that sky. Okay, notice that large patterns are developed in color, and just a general averaged color is put down first, and then I'll adjust those colors with then darks and then lights. Typically the middle value is used. We're starting to develop the street now. The street is a wild color because it's very hard to really know. Is it a cool color? Is it a warm color? Is it sort of in the middle? What is it? Is it it's some kind of gray? So if you're not too sure what color it is, then you can probably know or realize that it includes all of the primaries. So I continue to develop the painting by using the darks against the lights and the lights against the darks, varying that, including those items, and then expanding towards from the middle outward in a lot of ways. A lot of people like to start painting and come from the really the back, way in the back sky, and then go forward. It can be done in many ways, and my system typically changes with the subject. Details are the last thing to go in, so reserve your details for last. It's not important. The big thing is the big value patterns. Keep that always in mind. You'll notice I still have the same brush that I started out with. Yeah, I don't change the brush as much as many people do. So if I need any other colors and so on, I just pull them off the palette. It's kind of nice. I really like the palette holder that I have, because what it does is it keeps them clean. The different piles of paint are separated, and they stay clean right up until the last when I pull them off and use them. Okay, I'm just developing some of the tower, the church tower, and defining that a little bit better. Notice that it's on the 1/3 grid of the 9-grid system, and I use that pretty effectively sometimes. On the sky, I try to use a lot of the colors that I've used within a painting, and because it reflects some of those colors as well as the sun. Towards the right, that's where the sun is shining, from which it's shining, and I add more yellow towards that side, and then more blue towards the opposite side. I also will throw in some of the reds and yellows, oranges, and so on, even greens that I find within the painting, to just develop it, make it look a little bit more realistic. And my skies typically don't look anything like the skies found in the original photos. Towards the black background, way in the background and so on, I'll use more blues, of course, because blues recede, and colors become more blue as they recede in the background and become more yellow and warmer as they come forward. So I'll use that principle, and I paint according to that principle as well. Yeah, I'm now in the thinking of now in the stage of adding sun, color, and so on towards in a lot of the pattern areas. I'll warm them up towards the sun, where I see the sun coming down. I'll be adding more warmth to those areas. Even in the cooler areas, you might have reflected light and so on, so I'll be adding those as well, and you'll notice that throughout the session. I am now including some of the details, some of the automobiles within the painting, things to kind of set the scene. So some of those details, although they're not painted in detail, they're suggested. You'll notice that here I'm painting some of the whites across and crosswalk here. Notice that they're a little bit too white. So what I have to do is you have to always remember that whites within different areas within the painting. Whether it's in the sun, it's going to be, those are going to be brighter as well, but when you're in a shadow, those are going to be reduced in value as well, and possibly also reduced in intensity. So I'm aware of that, and so you'll notice that I'm tending to pull them back to darken them within the dark shadow area. Now I'm readjusting the darks, and within the dark shadow area, the dark building on the right. Now notice that I'm lightening it up quite considerably as opposed to the photo, which is very dark. Well, you'll notice that photos typically give you a false impression because they're higher contrast, and they tend to darken and use the darks are too dark within the darker areas of the photo. Here I am starting some of the more details and so on. Be careful of this. You can add too much detail, too much going on. Keep it to a minimum, but you still have to tell the story. I tried to exaggerate at times where you'll see sunlight and sunbeams coming through or filtering through darker areas of the painting, and I'll use those effectively to enliven the painting by adding light there, or a warmer color, and especially I like to allow those white streaks or lighter, warmer streaks to filter and flow across the painting. Here I am continuing to add on in more of the automobiles to make it a street scene that's more convincing. Using some accents and highlights throughout the last portion of painting, enhancing different portions, subduing certain portions, and as a result it becomes a pretty nice painting. So please subscribe, ring the bell, tell others about me, and I'd really like that. Also comment about anything that you want to. I like some of the questions. Maybe later I'll have some question and answer periods. Thank you. Come again.